So we are doing the Bhagavad Gita. We had completed till verse 24 from chapter 2. Here, right up to the verse 24 rather, I think 24, yes. So we had completed something which is called what is the soul and how it is connected to the body. And even if the body dies or even if the body is born, it is not to be taken in that you are killing the soul or something bad is happening. Alright, this is what Shri Krishna had explained. So now we will continue from verse 25 onwards. Alright. So we are doing the Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse 25. The soul is unmanifest, it is incomprehensible and it is spoken of as immutable. Therefore, knowing it as such, you should not grieve. Now this again is a very profound statement. First I have to explain these terminologies to all of you. The soul is unmanifest. Manifest means that which we can experience. Anything that we can experience using our body. So if I experience heat, which is not visible, heat is not visible, cold is not visible. If I can experience it by my sense organs or by this body, then it is manifest. Again, there are some things like I can see an object, that object is manifest. Manifest means it appears for me and that is why it is there. So if I tell you that God is there in front of you, there is divinity in front of you, you will say, I can't see. Where is this God that you are talking about? Is he over here, or over here, or over here? So you will have that difficulty of trying to understand what is this God about and where does he stay and what is he actually. Because you have not seen God. Alright? So for you, this term called God by itself is unmanifest. It doesn't appear, it doesn't actually appear to be. So if I have to ask you, there is a God sitting in front of you, can you describe that God? Now when I said this kind of a statement, you will wonder that God means, is it a male, a female or what? I can't understand. Should I describe him like a human being or should I describe him like another person, or maybe an alien? I don't know how to describe him because God cannot be described. So I will say to you that how tall is he? Now as a human being, I can only think of God as 6 foot or 7 foot tall. Beyond that, I can't think of him. Okay? I cannot say beyond 10 feet and 50 feet and 100 feet. Yeah, we have seen all the statues in India where they are so tall. But that doesn't mean that God is going to be sitting like Shiva over there in meditative state. First and foremost, you don't know God. Secondly, you don't know how he looks like. Third, you don't know what is his height, weight, body structure, this, that, whether he has got a face, no face, whether he looks like an alien, whether he looks like a human. These questions can never be understood and answered. So then what is God? So the God we consider as consciousness. Okay. Now I am not talking of deities over here. Please remember, when I speak of deities, there is a difference. This is a caveat. You should understand what I am speaking. Deities are not gods. Deities are not gods. They are a small portion of the divine. Small portion, a very tiny portion of the divine which has manifested. Manifested means appeared to us. Alright? So I have Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, their wives, okay? That is Saraswati, Lakshmi, Parvati. I have Hanumanji, I have Ganesha, I have so many gods. And these gods have a shape, a size, a face, an appearance. They may be wearing a crown, may be wearing a particular kind of clothes and so on. These are not gods. These are called deities. They have limited powers. Limited powers means, if I tell Brahmaji, can you destroy someone? Brahmaji is incapable because he is the creator. He is not the destroyer. Similarly, if I tell Lakshmiji, I want, education. I want knowledge. Lakshmiji will look at me and say, my dear son, you have come to the wrong department. Please take this paper and go to education department. Saraswati Amma is sitting over there. She is going to teach you. Well, can you see that there is a limitation there? So they are called deities. Alright? The term God, capital G-O-D, is above all this, which we are going to learn in the Bhagavad Gita. Is above all these deities put together. This God, when he is unmanifest, that means I cannot understand. I have no clue who he is or she is. I don't know whether it is a he, she, it, thou, whatever. I have absolutely no idea. I have no idea how he looks like because there is no shape. There are no attributes to describe him. There is nothing like, oh, he's got a sweet face, or he's dark in color. There is nothing like that. So when he is unmanifest, without shape, size, attributes, this God is what we call as Brahman. B-R-A-H-M-A-N. Brahman. Unmanifest divinity. Unmanifest divinity. Remember this word Brahma because it's going to come 1,000 times. So there is an unmanifest God. I cannot understand him. I cannot even describe him because him means I just have to say him. Okay, so don't hold me for it. Otherwise, tomorrow say, Guruji, you said it is him. I don't know. So there is no him, she, and all that. Nothing. So this is unmanifest God, and Krishna is talking about unmanifest. This God is also called as the super soul. What is he called? Super soul. Why super soul? Because if you are the soul, there has to be a super soul somewhere, isn't it? If you are a man, there has to be a superman. Like that. So man and superman, soul and super soul. Superman has tremendous powers. Human beings have no power. So like that, the individual soul, you have individual soul. Every one of you supposedly, again, don't hold me for it. Supposedly is because we have to suppose that we have a soul. This is spirituality. It's a very weird subject. Okay, so you have to take this as it comes. Because the next word he says something very funny. So there is a super soul. That is why he is unmanifest. Can't understand. No attributes. Nothing. Where is he? Here. I don't know. Where is he? So we just say he is everywhere. Again I said he. Okay. I have to term it as he only. So he is everywhere. This God, capital G-O-D or capital S-O-U-L, super soul. So capital S. He is unmanifest. It is incomprehensible. Cannot be understood by the meager knowledge. Our few grams of brain that we have, that also gets eaten up by all the people around us. I'm sure you know that, you experienced it. There are lots of people who eat other people's brains. So, even with that little brain, we can't even understand. And here, Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna, it is incomprehensible. The soul which we are talking about, it is incomprehensible. You cannot even understand. Don't even bother going in that direction. And it is spoken as immutable. You know mutant, no? I'm sure. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, like that, mutants. So he cannot mutate from one species to another. Alright? Immutable. Cannot transform. It is the same. It is like that only, he is like that only, she is like that only. Okay? He, she, it, whatever. He is like that only. So Brahma is immutable. The super soul is immutable. Got it? Therefore, knowing it as such, you should not grieve. It is a strange sentence again where he says, if you know this thing, don't bother your head about it. Why are you grieving? I'm going to kill somebody. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do that. Everybody is a soul. This soul is a part of the super soul. And the super soul is God Almighty. Okay? He is unmanifest. I don't know where he lives and all that. So he is there somewhere. God knows. God knows where. So this is the reason why Krishna also has a difficulty of explaining to Arjuna what is this Brahma. Did you understand this? The Brahma can never be taught to anyone. Soul cannot be taught to anyone because it is incomprehensible. So you may think, Guruji, you know all. No, please tell me about it. No, Guruji knows all, but if Guruji is Krishna also, he is not going to tell you because he will still say it is incomprehensible. Do you know why it is incomprehensible? Sir, if you have a 10 cents brain or 2 cents brain, you think you want to know about $1 worth? In your 2 cents, you can get only 2 cents worth of knowledge. You cannot get $1 worth of knowledge. Got it? So why bother so much about it? Let it be. Huh? So this is the verse. So now we will go to the next one. So we are doing the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 26. And Arjuna, if you should suppose this soul to be subject to constant birth and death, even then you should not grieve like this. Now there is a supposition coming over here. Human beings, everybody on earth who think they are human beings, okay? We suppose we are human beings, alright? So when we suppose we are human beings, we are taking too many things as supposition. Even in the election, before the election is over, we suppose that somebody is going to get elected. Okay? We believe that this is going to happen. So like that, we have a lot of these permutation combinations working out in our life. So Krishna is explaining to Arjuna and saying that suppose by chance, you think like this, that the soul is born. Okay, he is born as a human being and he dies as a human being. So he is subject to birth and death. Suppose the soul is born and he dies. Suppose. Then again, why should you grieve about it? Because I just now told you he's immutable. When I said the words he's immutable, he cannot take birth also. So if you understand, if it is immutable, he cannot take birth. There can be no birth and there can be no death. So if the soul is like that, what is the point in thinking that he's taken birth and now he's going to die? That doesn't happen. So we will move on to the next one, verse 27 from chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita. For in that case, death is certain for the born and rebirth is inevitable for the dead. You should not therefore grieve over the inevitable. Here, there is a veiled sentence. It is covered by this. You know what he is saying? If you are dead, inevitably you will be born again. So even if you think that you are going to die, somebody is going to die, that poor fellow is going to be born again and again and again and again and again. Now, in some other religions, they don't believe in rebirth. You know this? They are right from their point of view. Rebirth cannot happen. How is it possible? I will explain. Now let us say you are born as a water body, water. Suppose. It's a supposition. Like Shri Krishna is giving, suppose you are like this. Suppose you are born. So suppose you are born as water. Now, if you are born as water, and if I destroy you, I destroy water. So H2O gets destroyed. What happens to it? Hydrogen separates, oxygen separates. Now this H molecule can go and become CH. And oxygen can become something else. Is it possible? 100%. You can do the splitting and it can turn into something else entirely different. So if I have a plastic in front of me, suppose I have a plastic object. Now if this, what I am holding, okay, if this is a high density polyethylene, okay, it's called HDPE, or there is another object which is called HDPP, high density polypropylene. If this sounds too heavy, you can close your ears. I am doing a little chemistry for you just now. That polyethylene and polypropylene, all these poly means too many together. Poly means a lot coming together. So many molecules come together, so they become like that. I don't want you to get bored with this. So I will just tell you, it all comes from crude oil. You know crude oil, no? It all comes from crude oil. Because they take out something out of it, ethylene gas or something like that, and then they break it and they make it into ethylene. A lot of ethylenes together. So polyethylene. Okay. Now tomorrow I will say, I don't want this polyethylene. I want to destroy it. Okay. So it will have to go back in the state of crude again. Or maybe the crude oil has come from trees. If you remember this, if you know history, when the whole world got burned down, all the trees got burned down on this planet Earth millions of years ago, and they got crushed over a pile of earth, it became oil and gas. Like a coal, you know, it became coal, and from that exuded oil, and from that came gas. And that is why you get all these kind of gases, you know. I'm sure in India we use this gas in the kitchen. So like that, the gas is there. So not the gas in USA. They call petrol and all these things gas, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so that became like that. But doesn't mean anything. There is a transformative process from one to another. So they are also right if they say that they are not reborn. Correct. But in our world we say they are reborn. You can be reborn as some other thing. You can be reborn as a tree. You think you can't be born as a tree? So you can be reborn as a tree. Maybe tomorrow you will have a lot of gas. So yeah, you will get burnt down and you can become coal and gas and whatever. Who knows? So this is the way we have to look at it. So Krishna says, even if you think that he is going to be, that soul is born and dies, What is the big deal in it? I mean, why are you making it into such a big deal? You cannot kill the soul, you cannot even destroy it, so don't even bother so much about it. So, you should therefore not grieve over the inevitable. So, the secret over here is everybody is going to be reborn. Now, I am going to ask you a question over here. You also want to be reborn? I mean, you would not want to, you will be reborn. Okay? No objection in that. You can't even object to it. You will be reborn. And these verses are going to come in the future if you stay for that long. I mean, if you really have the patience. Some people lose patience very soon. So, coming back to this point, when you are reborn, what kind of body do you want? Ask yourself this question. I am sure you will say, I want to be born as a very rich person, because money is the first thing that comes to our mind. Second, I want to look very good. Third, I really want to become a royalty or somebody, like, I have to be really famous. We all want this kind of thing. So by chance, if we are asking God just before death, I want to be all these things. And God is very funny in this aspect. He says, done. Okay, tathastu, he says, tathastu. So you will be born rich. Okay, you will be born very famous and you will be a royalty. So the next life, when you are born, you open your eyes and you are born as an ant. Of course, you are a royalty over there. You have a million ants around you. They are all praying to you. You are very rich because your stash is only sugar somewhere. See, you miss telling God that I want to be born as a human being. You assume that you are going to be born as a human being. This is the problem in our world. We cannot cover everything up. So you are born as an ant, poor fellow. But again, you never said how you are going to die. So one big person comes and puts his foot on the anthill and you're dead. So this is the stupidest thing a person can do. We keep on asking God for things. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. Don't ask. That is really crazy. So you are going to be reborn. What life do you want? So if you really want a good life, because in this life you are already suffering too much, isn't it? You are suffering beyond measure. You cannot even imagine. Another person cannot come into your shoes and say, yeah, I know. Nobody can empathize with you. You are a painful person yourself and you make the world also painful. Okay? So, why do you want to be reborn again? So the question over here is, so what kind of birth? If in this life, if you have not led a life which is dharmic in nature, that means you have to follow dharma and you have to follow swadharma, which I will explain in the future, you cannot have a decent life in your next birth. Alright? So please, in this life, become very spiritual, religious, try to get out of this system, which I will teach you all over the time. How to become enlightened. This is a part of our world. I have to train you in that so that you are not born again. This is the idea. That is why the Guru's grace is very, very important. Okay, he just doesn't sit over there in front of Zoom camera just for the heck of it. You want a better life in your next one, isn't it? Because you already suffered too much in this life. So you better understand that your rebirth, which is inevitable, has to be in a good family. Has to be born as a human being. Not like an ant or a grasshopper or one of those creatures. Okay? That is very miserable. So now we will go to the next one. We still have 5 more minutes to go. So we are doing Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 28. Arjuna, before birth, beings are not manifest to our human senses. On death, they return to the unmanifest again. They are manifest only in the interim between birth and death. What occasion then for lamentation? So if I ask you the question, what were you before you were born? Can anybody answer this? No. Not even past regression therapy. Okay, don't get into it. That's all nonsense. You don't know. And after death, where will you be? I don't know. So if I lead a good life this time, I can at least be a little sure that next life is going to be better. I am spiritual, religious, I follow the norms of the society, I am a good human being, I have not done anything bad to anyone, blah 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 blah, I am a sattvic person. Okay, then my next life, I will be good enough. But before that, where were you? So Shri Krishna explains that before being born, you were not manifest. Nobody knew where you were, what you were doing. You are not manifest. When I started, I said, no, if God is standing in front of you, you can't see. Like that, nobody can say that I was X, Y, Z before this. Before I was born, where were you? Nobody knows. You are not in some very tiny egg and sperm of somebody. No, no, no. Please don't even think like that. Okay? Because people have this weird idea of thinking like that. No, you are not. Then, on death, they return again to the unmanifest. Now, when you die, where do you go? You are not some body lying in some graveyard. No, this is a very wrong way of looking at it. That is a dead body. That is not you. That is not the human being it was. People have this idea about ghosts. I was a ghost. Okay? I was roaming around in this earth, scaring everybody, like spooky and all those. I'm sure you have. No. There's no like Casper the friendly ghost. Were you Casper the friendly ghost? Or the 3 uncles of his? Maybe you are worse than the uncles. We don't know. So there are no ghosts, by the way. And if there are, you consider yourself as the worst of the. So unmanifest, you can't be seen. So they are manifest only in the interim period. From birth to death is all that you are manifest. Manifest as a human being. Now because you are a human being, that's why I'm talking. Tomorrow if I talk to the ant you, A-N-T, ant, then that's a different story. So Guruji ant, I will have to become. So this is what? Only manifestation during that period. So he says, what occasion is there for lamentation? So even if you kill, what is going to happen? You were not even there. That fellow was not even there. Somebody came, somebody killed, somebody died. It's the soul. We think like that. We believe, we suppose. So don't lament so much. Don't be a stupid person and keep on saying, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And keep on crying over here. That is the misery of Arjuna. Arjuna is, in our world, a Rotlu kind of person who keeps on crying all the time. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? All of us are like that. We are Arjunas ourselves. So, these are the 4 verses that we have done. And just to give you an understanding that please don't think of yourself as a human being. Body is only the interim period. You are not the body, you are the soul. And the soul, there is a super soul, don't bother about that just now. We will come to the super soul when we have to come to. Alright? So we have come to the end of verse 28. So we will stop over here. And I will see you all tomorrow. Okay? Take care. Have a very good day or a good evening.